Black women need to rethink these two things.
So I just think black women need to rethink two things. Two things. Number one, this idea that I should not get married until I finish all my collegiate studies.
Oh, that's a big one.
Getting married after they've done college is the reason why a lot of our sisters are not getting married and are not having babies. Because they're putting off the marriage. Because, you know, good Christian girl, my daddy and mommy put me through college. I'm gonna finish law school first. I'm gonna finish med school first. I'm gonna get my master. I'm gonna become a social worker. I'm gonna get my license. Then I'm gonna look for a husband. Only problem is, sweetheart, you're not going to be done all this till you're about 35.
And now you're freezing eggs.
You see what I'm saying?
I get exactly what you're saying.
Your biological clock is ticking, which is going to often lead to you presenting yourself to available men as somewhat thirsty because you're not going to be able to hide the fact you know you're aware of your clock ticking, which is going to end up leading to you possibly never getting married. Black women have to stop putting off family for career because they don't have as many options as their counterparts, the whites, the reds, the yellows, and the browns. That's one thing black women need to rethink, putting it off until completion of college. Number two, looking for a man who has to be the same religion. That's another mistake. You're narrowing it down too much. You mean, listen, I'm a Pan-Africanist, so we believe in religious freedom, right? I don't care if my wife is a Rasta, Hebrew, it don't matter to me. As long as you are rooted in God, that's what matters. We're serving the same supreme being. That's what matters, not the dogma in the doctrine. So black woman, you're telling me you would risk losing out on a good man because he does not approach God's science the way you do?
Let's drop that poll, by the way. I want to see how many ladies.
That's definitely
we're gonna drop a poll.
That's a good one.
Let's see how many ladies are willing to date a man that is not of the same religion. And that's actually a good point because let's actually coach on that because I've had people come on here and say you never do it. I have people that come up on here and say that you better be open to it.
Look at
But
your situation. We are in a state of crisis. So black women and black men got to understand decisions you would have normally made another way. You have to look at them differently now because of your options. I'm gonna give you another mistake black women make. So one is postponing marriage and childbirth to after college. Two, demanding that your husband be of the same religious persuasion. And you know what the third one is?
What's that?
Wanting black men to come to the relationship table having already achieved success. One of the biggest advantages the snow bunnies have on our women is snow bunnies will find a dusty brother and see his skill, his talent, you feel me?
Yeah.
Invest in him in college. And by the time he become a multimillionaire at 35, she been with him the whole walk. You see that? A lot of sisters are not going to do that. They're not going to find a dusty brother in his senior year or dusty brother in the community. But you see, he got this business idea. She like, nah, come back and see me when it's up and running. I don't think this ever going to happen. Soon when you waved him off, the snow bunny got him. The snow bunny invested in him. You feel me? 10 years later, the same brother see you trying to holler. He got the white girl. Now you dissing him. You saying they all want white girls. Nah, he came to you. You said you want a ready-made black man. You don't want a work in progress. And I'm telling black women, y'all better start going for some of these works in progress instead of waiting for us to finish the job because you losing to the snow bunny when you tell us to wait until we got the bag.
It's a lot.
There's a lot in that one. So we're going to save the second point for last because that one, we could talk about that one forever. Now, we both are college educated. I have my master's. She has her bachelor's. And we believe in education. We enjoyed our time in college. And our experience doesn't quite line up with what he's saying. However, the key part is the mentality of I gotta get married after I've done all of these things necessarily. That is where I disagree. I don't think you necessarily have to wait until you are finished graduating to get married because especially in the career paths, like I think that he was hinted towards, like if you became a lawyer or a doctor, stuff like that, some of those things take you a long time to complete. And oftentimes with women, specifically with women, I've seen, and that's what he's directing this to, with women, it's much harder for you to find somebody once you've already established yourself. It's the weirdest, it sounds weird on surface, but it's been proven to be true. A lot of times once women get into their careers, they finish school and all that stuff, and they're working, a lot of times their time is delayed and they look up and they're in their 30s and they're not married and they're not in a relationship that they want. They feel like whoever they get with, especially with black women, feel like they gotta downscale on the person they get with, and that ends up being a huge discouragement, and it just feels like a letdown for a lot of black women. I've talked to women about this and I've seen a common narrative of just saying like, it's not fair. Like I did everything right. And I feel like I have to look down at a person, which brings me to this third point that he had made in there, which was about basically stop waiting for a guy to be the man per se before you even give them a shot or even try to date them. And I do think that that's an issue, and I think that's an error. And I'm not saying the guy has to. He used the example of a dusty guy. I guess dusty doesn't have a positive connotation to me. So I'm thinking of dusty guy. I'm like, you probably shouldn't mess with that dude. But let's just assume he means a guy that doesn't have money like that, but has some attributes that if he has the right person in his life, they can help bring that out. And I'm not saying women should necessarily look at a guy and say you see this potential, but he's got all these other issues. But specifically on a financial level, a guy that hasn't started his business yet, his great idea, who isn't quite on a level of education as you, may not even have a bachelor's, which a lot of black men don't have. But you see that work ethic, you see certain qualities, you see certain values. We're gonna talk about that, hinting that. You see these certain things in them. You're like, okay, I can date this man because he's a man, first and foremost. I actually see a man. And I think that is very crucial, is that the person is actually a man, a respectable man of good character and integrity, guy that keeps his word. I can go on and on, but I'm going to open it up to you.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So the first part, women need to stop waiting until they're done with college. I think we can just infer from this that he means if you've done multiple degrees, right? Because if you're talking about the regular, like associates or bachelors, you're not in your 30s or something like that, more than likely, right? Everybody got a different journey, everybody got a different path. Okay. So he's saying, because he mentioned like social work and stuff too, and a lot of those, like if you don't continue on, your choices are very limited, things like that.
Right, because you should be done with school by 21, 22 in a typical bachelor's track anyway.
So he was
That's still
definitely
young.
saying for women who's going to continue and going
continue
maybe PhD, all of that, and we know a lot of people who are doing that
Absolutely.
right now. And so here's the thing. Everybody has a different story. And so when you say we need to stop altogether, I want to say no. But I do agree that should not be your plan. Like, I'm not worried about my serious relationship with my potential husband until I'm done with this. Yeah, I agree. Women should not be doing that because, A, you can miss out on opportunities with your potential mate because you're just turned off to that and only in the books.
Yeah.
You need to be open because you don't know when you're going to cross paths with that person. And so why would you mess that up? Like, and y'all could be in the same class. You could be in the same cohort, whatever. Yeah. And you up here like, nope, just focusing on studying, just focusing on messing yourself up. Like, so I agree with him. I will say with all of that, a woman should not be solely concerned about her clock running out and things. Because, we believe God is in the picture. And
Absolutely.
It's a lot of women having children at 40, 43, 40, things like that. And so, like I said, everybody's story is different.
Yeah.
That's what I have to say to that one. To the second one, he put a lot of parts on that. And so I'm like, hold on. Because there are a lot of black women who get with men who have a plan, even though they have not followed through and haven't made it, like he said, right? That's really not a lot of black women's problem. I would say some. They like, no, you need to be able to make this much because I want to travel and I want these bags and shoes. And so you should be able to provide. No, there are some women like that. And we've talked about that on this channel. I'm not speaking for those. But I'm saying, he's saying women always got to be with, black women got to always be with the man who already have made it. And that's incorrect. Because we know even some famous examples of women who was with their husband when they was just like, I got this plan, I got this goal, and I want to do it. And they with them. Now, if you want to go into black and white women like he wasn't thing, sometimes in those situations, once the black man made it, he was like, you know what? You're not really what I'm feeling anymore. And then he went over to the white woman because he's using that example. So I'm going to say, no, that's not always the case. Now, a lot of women also will say, I have all these degrees, right? I have these goals and things for my life. I do want a man who can make this much and I want to live in this type of house and things like that. Because, like I said, there's some truth to everything. Yeah. I will say, yes, because your husband doesn't make this amount of money doesn't mean that he's not the one for you. You should not count him out because you can miss out. What if he has everything else? What if he is the best provider? A true honest man. Women saying all men cheat. What if he's not a cheater? Things like that. everything. He checks off every box, but he just don't make that dollar sign amount, you know?
Right.
Are you really going to miss out on that? I hope not. And so I'm just going to say, yeah, every story is a little different. Women, if the man is just out here doing nothing, trying to go after this plan, but don't got a plan, trying to go after this goal, but don't got a plan, then I agree. Probably leave him alone. But if he don't got that money, but he got a plan and he know how he's going to get there, and in the meantime, working a just right now job, because he got to have some type of income, yeah, don't pass him up.
Yeah, I would
Don't
say
do
that.
it.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he lost me a little bit when he talking about the snow bunnies and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong. I could be completely ignorant, but I don't really know that many examples of that.
He said
Like that seems.
they go with them when they're just potential.
Who?
And they stick with them that whole time because they see it.
Am I tripping? Like, am I bugging? Like, or is like.
So I'm thinking about basketball players, right?
Okay.
And in high school, you know, the black boy plays basketball. He got his white girlfriend. And she stays with him because he looks like he could possibly be drafted.
Yeah, maybe in sports, I guess.
I'm just saying, that's what came to my head.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with that, so I'm just I'm gonna tap out. I'm not gonna say he's wrong, but I don't know enough about that to co-sign that part. I can't amen that.
When they got some money, right?
That was my understanding. That's how I always seen it. But yeah, we'll let him live on that one. But we want to talk about this crazy. How do I even speak to it? We want to talk about his view of men and women and sharing religious beliefs. And I think he is off on this one. I'm not gonna lie. This is the one that, like, I feel like, I don't know, whenever he talks about religion, that's not his area of expertise. That's not his area of wisdom at all. I'm not even saying that. Like, there's things that he says, he's a mixed bag. There's things that he'll say about black empowerment. I'm like, okay, that sounds good. That can sound encouraging. There's things he say about interracial dating, and I'm like, dang, bro, you a little extreme, ain't you? You wildin'. Then he talk about religion, and he just goes off the rails. So, number one, never, and I do mean never, marry, don't even date a person that's not the same religion as you. I'm just gonna save you a whole lot of time, arguments, heartache, all of that. Don't fall for it. Don't listen to anybody that's telling you to marry somebody of a different religion. And here's why. We talk about on this channel all the time how important it is to come together in values. And when it comes to religion, let me make a distinction actually. If you really practice, because here's what it is. A lot of people do this. A lot of people do what he's saying, by the way. Probably we're in the minority of people that actually wouldn't do this. I think most people do what he's saying. And here's why. Here's why. Because a lot of people just aren't religious. They don't have a different religion. They just aren't religious at all, which is a religion.
They categorize themselves under a certain religion, but don't really do any of the things.
They profess it, but they don't practice it. So I would argue that he's actually wrong. A lot of people, I'm not gonna say most, but a lot of people already don't care about that stuff in their actions, not in their words. And he even says, like, you know, looking at their actions and stuff like that versus looking at what they say. Now, they did do a poll on this, which is funny because the polls I think like 60% of the people disagreed with him, and they were like, no, definitely don't marry somebody that is of a different religion. So so the podcast disagreed. The viewers of it definitely disagreed with him. So that's good. That was a good sign. But I do think like 40%, agreed with him. So that shows you that a good chunk of people are open to dating and marrying people of different religions. The problem with that is, if you really understand your religion, you know that certain things in your belief systems clash. Like, it doesn't work. And if we're honest, the way men function in relationships, especially when it comes to religion, is men generally want their wives to be on the same page with them in their faith. And even if their wife isn't on the same page with them in the faith, if that's the case, the way that household is going to be led is going to be as if they are. So that you could have a wife that's a Christian and you're a Muslim, I guarantee you his convictions are going to outweigh hers. And that if he wants certain things to be done a certain way, it's going to go his way more than likely. And that's generally how those go. But when you start to have values that clash, you automatically are putting your marriage at a disadvantage for success. You're giving your marriage a lot of reason to fail. And then even amongst Christians. Now, the Bible does warn us against marrying people outside of the faith. But if we do marry them, we have to fulfill. We have to walk in that marriage just as if they were Christian. So we have to still allow them to be the head of our household. They may do things out of pocket. We shouldn't sin along with that partner, but it does mean that we should be trying to witness to them to convert them even to our belief system. And
Still trying
I'm sure
to change the other person.
I'm sure it's the same with Islam. So it's like in other religions. So all I can say is that is so unwise, and I don't know why you would want to bring that. I don't know why you want to do that to yourself.
Yeah, which is very interesting because he said, as a man, instead you need to be observing this potential mate. And he said, observing what values they have, get to know their family. When you're talking about those core values, religion is right there. That's if you're practicing it, right, and actually doing it. That's how you go about things. That's how you go about treating people. That's how you go about making important decisions, right?
Yeah.
Based on your foundation, your religion. And so it was just so off. I'm like, even the simplest things of apps or shows I'm thinking about right now, they try to align people who got those core values because they already know it's a waste of time. Every single time it's when children come into the picture, what are you going to do? How are you going to raise them? Because your values are not lining up.
Yeah. I feel very confident in saying that religious people marrying other religious people of the same religion are leading people that are getting married. So I just think like, and I could be wrong on that, but I feel very confident that Christians marrying other Christians, even Muslims marrying other Muslims, like those are the main people getting married anyway. Like people outside of religion who are like, I'm spiritual, or like, I believe in God, the universe, the supreme being, but I don't have a specific religion. Those people aren't even, Dr. Umar's not even married. So it's like a lot of these people that are about this whole universalism type of talk, or there's, as long as you believe in a God, it doesn't matter. It's all the same God. It's like, no, that's not true. But they're completely different. Every single one is different. There's no similarities. There's no similarity. They're all different gods, but there's only one true God that we believe in. So those are our thoughts on that one. That one was a head scratch. I'm not gonna lie, it was a little bit.
Let us know.
That was a little sus. So don't listen to that. But let us know what your thoughts are in the comments below. And before you head out, make sure you please like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed, hit that notification bell.